Thunder. Well, they did it, guys. They figured it out. The Thunder beat the Spurs finally. That series is now 3-1 San Antonio. 119-98 win. SGA with 34, 5 and 5. Jalen Williams finished with 20. Chet with 8 and 10 rebounds, and Wemby had 17 and 7 in the 28 minutes that he played. But this was close until about midway through the third, and then SGA just decided, yeah, I got to remind everybody who I am and what I'm about. Lou, was that a pretty good, I don't know if you're going to put a tape together on why he's the leader in the MVP clubhouse. Was last night a good one?
Yeah, the third quarter he went crazy, and he stood out. He did everything that he needed to do to stand out and make sure they get off that slide. I know post game that he said this was not our Super Bowl, but you better believe they did have some incentive in going to this game to get off of the slide when it comes to the San Antonio Spurs, and they did everything that they needed to do, led by SGA. They got a lot of production from a lot of different guys that won't jump out on a stat sheet, but I think they played really good basketball. Jalen Williams looked like he's starting to catch a rhythm. He's starting to get back into a groove. That was good to see. But I think they found something in Wemby. Like, they really attacked the rim, and it looked like they made an assertive effort to make sure that was their point of emphasis, to attack the rim, put as much pressure on Wemby and the rest of their defense as much as you can. And when they did that, that allowed for them to open up the three-point line. That's what makes them successful. The third quarter is really the only quarter that set this game apart. If you look at all of the stats, they're pretty much identical in turnovers. They're pretty much identical in three-point percentage. The only difference I saw was OKC shot 50% from the field and San Antonio shot 40 from the field. And I think that was SGA in doing that. So last night was a great win for them. It was a great win for them to kind of put this chapter of playing against this team behind them until it matters. So I'm sure it was good for them to get that win. But they were very careful in the narratives, right? They were very careful in saying, do they play again? Do they still got more?
February 4th.
Yeah, I thought we were done. It feels like they played 1,000 times already.
I know. Well, that cup game makes it like done. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. The cup game doesn't. There we go. The cup game doesn't count. But you could tell that they had some added juice. Whether it was their Super Bowl or not, this game meant a lot to the OKC Thunder for sure.
Yeah, and I believe SGA when he says it wasn't their Super Bowl, right? These guys have been to the mountaintop. They won a championship, but this did mean something to them.
It wasn't a Super Bowl, but it was a playoff game.
This team kind of has their number per se, and that's what everyone's talking about. It's a bad matchup for them, and Wemby presents them so many problems. So this did mean something. And going ahead, this is a team that the Thunder are going to have to go through that has had their number, and that's not just a saying. That is an actual fact this year that the Spurs have played really, really well against them, and the Thunder have not had a lot of success. So I know this is just a normal game in January, but this was huge for the Thunder to kind of overcome that storyline and those headlines that the Spurs are a bad matchup and they can't beat them and they don't want to see them in the playoffs. This meant something for OKC, and this has got to be the best rivalry right now too. I know they don't act like it is, but this game was physical. Guys were flying around. SGA talking shit to Castle.
I was gonna say, in his face. That's not very Canadian.
I'm not saying it's the craziest rivalry ever. I'm not saying they hate each other, but it's awesome, and there's definitely something there.
It's brewing, but I feel like San Antonio got some catching up to do. I know they're having success in the regular season, but they got to make some noise when it counts for this to be a legitimate rivalry to me. But it is brewing. It is sexy to talk about. It is brewing, but I feel like we got to see what happens in the postseason for it to get real for me as far as rivalries go. But I like where we're headed. I like where we're headed for sure.
Yeah, I mean, look, it may not be a rivalry record-wise or championship-wise, but I do think that they're starting to really not like each other and get 100%. Under each other's skin, which I love. Then because now the fan bases are going to hate each other, that's how it works.
Both the fan bases are unbelievable. Both the franchises have an MVP type player. Both of them are extremely young and on this trajectory where they're going to be around for years to come. So I think it's great, and I think it's gonna this team playing in a playoff series. It will get chippy. It will be physical. There's bodies all over the floor here. They're talking trash. This felt more than just a regular game in the middle of January. It really did, and that's because of these two teams. They both have championship hopes and aspirations, and they know they're gonna have to go through one another to possibly get there. So I think it's great. Both these teams are unbelievable, and they're not gonna go anywhere. They're gonna be good for years to come, both of them.
Look, I got to ask you guys this because as a homer, I'm a little cloudy on my opinion of it. I think this is the most fun matchup that I get excited about watching. But is there a rivalry or a matchup currently that's better that I'm not thinking of, Lou? Like, I can't.
You know what? It's one that got calm a little bit, but it might spark back up as these teams start to get better and better and better. It's Boston and New York. I
Okay.
like Boston and New York when they were brewing and it got quiet a little bit. They got to turn it back up. But that's another one that I like to see. But right now, OKC and the Spurs, they're cutting the cake right now. That's the one right now.
Like that one.
Yeah,
Detroit
I
and New
agree.
York's a good one too, Chandler. I think after the way.
Also, I
Another
think it's
Bruin,
awesome.
another one Bruin.
Looking at the standings, it's the Pistons, the Celtics, and the Knicks. Like it's a very
Yeah.
throwback seeding in the Eastern Conference, and all three of those teams have a history. All three of them like to play physical, so I think those three got something brewing over there. But no, this is it with just MVP type players, depth, youth, vets. Wimby and Chet. Like this is by far to me the best. And again, like I said, it's awesome because we're going to see this for years because they're both so stacked and so set up for the foreseeable future.
The Utes, Thunder fans, some talking heads. That there's a lot of chatter out there, very vocal online during this stretch that Sam Presti could press the quote red button at any time and trade Jalen Williams and others and first round picks and go get Giannis. Okay, Chandler, what do you make? What do you think about that idea?
I don't think I change anything. I think I keep my assets, same, keep my picks. Sure, you might listen to some offers. If you got a guy like Giannis that's been talked about highly, and he's definitely going to be an option or available, you take a look at it. But this team is so set up good. The chemistry, they won a championship with this team. Like I'm not shaking the tree until we don't go back to back, and then I might go and look at it. But this team is so good. They're so deep. They all fit together. They all have that vibe where it's just a great atmosphere and a great workplace to go to. Like, again, I know it sounds sexy to go get one of the best players in the NBA, but I'm not shaking up anything if I'm Sam Presti.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah.
Sexy to talk about, fun to talk about, the what ifs. But I've seen this movie already. I know how it ends. I have a basketball team that is capable of winning the championship, and we've done it already. So the idea of floating around one of my cornerstone pieces for Giannis, that sounds great. But I already know what this team is capable of. I feel like I can win a championship right now without Giannis. So if I'm standing still and I'm standing firm in that, why would I ever shake the tree? Why would I ever look around this season? Now, if you get through this year and you don't get the results that you want, then you have all of the assets in the world to look around the league and try to make your team a better team to put you back in that position. But until then, until somebody unseats you as the champion, I don't see why you would even entertain this. But it's great to talk about. Obviously Giannis is a player that instantly changes any team that he plays on. But this is a team that doesn't need changing, so I don't even know why they would entertain that.
Like Giannis makes every team better, but maybe not this one. Like you're really
Right.
good without him. Like why even mix it up?
Would that be bigger than Luka going to the Lakers if that were to happen?
It would be insane. And I do think Giannis
Tell.
gives them a whole different dynamic that they don't have, but they're going to have to give up a lot. They're going to have to, everything that they have built, they're just going to have
Yep.
to give it up for an aging superstar. Like, I don't see it. I don't like it.
Yeah, I don't love it either. But I do think Lou's point about if they did not win this season, they wanted to reevaluate. But I don't know if Giannis will be available by then. He's being booed at home, guys. Anything could happen. Hawks.